Some Jews were fined for singing a song called Ani Mamin. I think I might be totally...
No, you've got it wrong. Go ahead.
How do you know I've got it wrong?
No, because there's no way to get something like this right. Did you hear how the last caller, Raphael, pronounced Hamas?
Well, if there was a CH, I would know to do the Ch sound.
Okay.
Hello. But I don't know if it's... I think it's Mamin. Maamin. Maybe
Doesn't matter.
Mamin.
Just give your best shot at it.
So anyway, it's like Ian. It's like if something's is said in it's Spanish, I have to say it ridiculously over the top because I'm filling in for the first chair tonight. So, guards at a memorial site shouted at B'nai Akiva, a group from Australia and South Africa, and then fined them $350. Guards at the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp memorial site shouted at Jews who sang Ani Mamin, a song based on lines from Rambam, Maimonides, this is just ridiculous, which was known as the Hymn of the Camps during a visit to the camp, and then fined their guide 1,000 zloty, or about $350. So says the guide, Rabbi Rafai Ostrov, who is also the head of the Etzion Block Religious Council. Ani Mamin has several tunes, one of which was composed by the Hasidic rabbi in the cattle cars en route to Nazi concentration camps. The song was then adopted by other Jewish prisoners and became known as the Hymn of the Camps. So the rabbi has written, Dear friends, and he wrote this on Facebook, yesterday, I am leading a group of B'nai Akiva from Australia and South Africa. As usual, the group sings holy songs of prayer during the visit. This time, the guards of the camp hounded us all the time, shouting at us not to sing. Even in the gas chamber of Auschwitz I, the guard came up to me and shouted at me, Tell them immediately to shut up. We then went to Birkenau in a secluded part of the camp. The boys spontaneously started singing Ani Mamin. This was the song that the prisoners sang on the way to be murdered there. A guard drove after us with his car and demanded that they be silent. I told him that I don't have control over this as they are singing from their hearts. He then threatened to arrest me and called the police. In my group, there were a few boys whose grandparents were prisoners.
I don't understand.
Right.
Who are these guards? These are German guards of the Auschwitz that just kind of, when you say guards, I suppose they're park rangers. The equivalent of park rangers. And they don't want people singing at all, or specifically this Ani Mamin song? And why don't they want them to sing it? Do we have any clue?
I think it's going to get into more details, but I think what's going on, and this is just my long shot guess, and maybe there are other folks out there who have more information. You can give us a call, 855-450 free, 855-450-3733. But I believe that what's going on here is that this is there's a law in Germany that says specifically, and I think that there are maybe a few other areas around there that have this law, that essentially you can't mention anything with relation to the Holocaust. It's like verboten to even talk about it for the most part. So I'm wondering if this doesn't fall under that. I mean, it is at Auschwitz, so that seems...
You'd think...
really strange.
Yeah, it seems very odd. You'd think that people would be able to refer to this. I mean, this is going to be a big trip for a lot of people. Their parents or their grandparents were killed there, or they may have been housed there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're suspiciously silent here, Danica. Haven't you been to Israel? I mean, don't you know a little bit about this?
No, I went there twice, but I mean, a lot of it was just I was there visiting friends, and ironically, when I went there wasn't really a whole lot of there wasn't a lot of this drama that was going on. I went in 2007 and then 2008. So I mean, there was still obviously an uneasiness going on, but not certainly to this extent.
Right, and obviously, I guess in Israel too, you wouldn't have this sort of.
No, in Israel, this would be perfectly fine.
Right. So, okay, to continue the story, in my group, let's see, they're about the fine. I opted to pay, he opted to pay the fine, as they were threatened with 24 hours of imprisonment or paying that $350 fine. So they opted to pay the fine as it was 2 hours before Shabbat. It was totally unacceptable. The camp administration treats Jewish groups as if we are tourists to the site like any other group. They have to be considerate and compassionate to Jewish groups. We are not visiting there out of curiosity. It is a journey to the depths of our souls. If the camp administration does not understand this, then they're incompetent to rule of this sacred site. The next rule will be that we are not allowed to carry Israeli flags, as it might offend someone. I demand a formal apology from the camp administration and the refund of the fine that I had to pay. Program coordinator for the B'nai Akiva trip, Michael Rainsbury, gave his own version of events. My account of an incident that took place at the Auschwitz-Birkenau on Friday with Rav Rafi Ostrov on the World B'nai Akiva Hashrat MTA boys trip to Poland. After the tour of the site, we marched out singing Ani Mamin. Ani Ma'amin.
Try it again.
They spelled it. Yeah, they spelled it. They spelled it differently here. So Ani Ma'amin, with pride and waving our Israeli flags. Unfortunately, at this point, as well as twice previously in Auschwitz, we were ordered to not sing by the security personnel at Birkenau, despite it being an established practice for Jewish groups. The group felt a strong sense of pride and duty to sing the same song Jews sang on the way to their deaths and continued to sing. Security refused to let the matter go and persisted in stopping us singing, despite us calmly explaining to them our reasons for doing so. They then called the police, who arrested our guide, Rav Rafi Ostrov, for breaking the rules of the site. Rather than being in custody for Shabbat, we paid a fine and left for Shabbat. At all times throughout the situation, we kept the group removed from the incident, and no one was placed in a dangerous situation.
They've got an amazing little singing tax going on at these, old concentration camps.
To their credit, they remained dignified throughout the incidents, merely continuing to sing with pride. We have already started making representations to ensure that we receive our money back. The site apologizes for the behavior of their staff and that this will not happen to another Jewish group again. So I guess it does not go into any more details, and I apologize for that. I just thought it was really interesting that the guards there are behaving, in a way to shut this kind of thing down at Auschwitz. That's...
It seems very bizarre.
Like it would be so obvious that this is an unacceptable way to handle the situation. It would seem that way.
Right.
It's really bizarre. I'm very surprised at this. I would be interested in the other side of the story as to why they can't have singing at their particular, because this is just a blog post or something. This isn't this doesn't even pass for journalism other than this occurred.
Right. I'm wondering if they just don't want to make it seem like that they're siding with Israelis. They'd probably want to keep it neutral.
I don't know. I mean, what's the other side on this one? The other side, we should have gassed him. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
There's no other side. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Do you have any thoughts? Do you want to call in? Let us know. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live.
Hey, talking about the Auschwitz singing, we have the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. If you dance, they'll tackle you to the ground and smash your face in the cement for dancing.
This is an amazing thing that they started a group. It was Bureau Crash. They don't really exist anymore, but they were sort of a liberty-oriented
was that
action
Bureau
group.
Crash? I thought it was after Bureau Crash.
Well, it was kind of like the people of Bureau Crash that did.
Free Talk Live should get a busload of dancers, man, and let's go dancing at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial.
All aboard.
We can
Let's
go on
go.
a tour. Go dance in the Thomas Jefferson
We
Memorial.
can go in
then
Daryl's
singing
short
it
bus.
Everybody start waltzing, man. We could all start waltzing.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be walking to Poland, but if we would, I do think a tour would be an interesting idea, just to go to all these different places.
Well, Google Maps just tells you to go jump in the water and swim all the way there.
It's like a really hard triathlon. Dave, did you have any more thoughts for us?
Well, I was just trying to say here we're talking about complaining, wow, singing, and I think it's governments think that they could just push us around and tell us what to do at our own memorials. These memorials are for the people.
Right. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is these are places for the people, not for the governments, but the governments get a hold of them, and they got these rules or whatever, and it's amazing.
I don't don't understand why they would prohibit dancing, because you're not destroying the monument.
And not making noise, distracting anybody. You dance in silence.
Well, there was something else, actually. There was a quote, and I can't remember the quote, from Thomas Jefferson specifically. There was some sort of quote about dancing. It almost like a quote about dancing at a memorial that Thomas Jefferson had. And, they were honest. They were honoring the spirit of what Thomas Jefferson wanted, which was freedom. I mean, for the most part. So it was ridiculous to have this state oppression going on at the memorial down there. But when did that dancing take place? That was like 2010, 2011?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, something like that, 2.5 years ago.
Well, I would say that was the most recent incident where Adam Kokesh and a troop, including Meg McLean, got thrown to the ground.
Yep.
But this was it started like 5 or 6 years ago,
Right.
with the Jefferson Memorial 1.
Right.
One person got arrested, but they kind of shoot out a bunch of people. It was a very, very interesting story.
Yeah.
Maybe we were overdue for another visit.
Yeah, busloads.
We can go in Daryl's short bus.
Well, look what happened for dancing at Wounded Knee. Indians started dancing again, and it freaked them out so bad, man, that they slaughtered a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I don't know much about what happened at Wounded Knee, but it's certainly
it's all about the ghost dance. They started a ghost dance. They were trying to start a new life for themselves. And they were celebrating through dance, and it scared them, scared the pale face, and they said they can't be dancing, they can't be dancing. What? Look, they're dancing again.
We can't have happiness here.
Those damn pale faces.
So let's start dancing all over, man. Dance in the street.
Totally agree with you. Thank you so much for the call tonight, Dave.
If it's a revolution that doesn't have dancing, it's a revolution I'm not interested in.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to,
you can dance if you want to.
Call us about revolutions if you want to call and dance if you want to.
You
can leave your friends behind.
You can leave your tyranny behind.
I did not personally. There are many death camps, but I did not personally visit Auschwitz. But two of my immediate family members did. When they came back, they gave an account that you were almost there. But of course, when it's certain things you have in life, they must be experienced, and no retelling or recounting is ever going to give you that exact feeling. But this is what I was told. You know how you don't let your children run around on the grass at grave sites, in cemeteries, and adults shouldn't be walking over graves. You should be walking in between them.
Right.
But yet, when there's a group burying someone, if they quietly within the group recite the Our Father, that's acceptable. But then there are other places of death that, because of how the people died, unlike a grave site, which an Our Father, if you're Catholic, Our Father, Hail Mary, whatever, is appropriate, quietly. But there are places like Auschwitz, any of the death camps, since the beginning of time where horrific atrocities have taken place. Another place was 9/11. This same two immediate family members went to 9/11. And I think, and this is not knocking the Jews, if anybody has a right to pray or sing or do anything, there are people, siblings still alive. That didn't happen that long ago.
Right.
That lost their siblings, parents, and grandparents there. And so if anybody has a right, they should. But this is what my two immediate family members shared with our family. There is such a reverence there that even Jews that are there cry into their white linen hankies or into a Kleenex silently. It is so painful. And my family is not Jewish. We are Eastern European, and I am personally only second generation in this country. But and some of those death camps were in the country that I came from, not by my people, but by the Germans, run by the Germans. And I am not of German descent, and I'm not knocking people of German descent. That was a whole different time and a whole different generation. But there is such a reverence there, just like at the 9/11 site. You don't break out in prayer. Another place, the war memorials in Washington. Those poor veterans, few that are left, a few thousands of World War II, or you quietly go up and put a piece of paper down with a lead pencil and, run it over to get
Yeah,
the name
doing like
of
an
your
etching.
loved one. Exactly, but you don't hear people out loud singing even prayers of reverence.
Someone
godly
sent
prayers.
us a translation, Dana, of this song. So I guess the translation of this whole song, Ma Amin, is, I believe with the complete faith in the coming of the Messiah. In the coming of the Messiah, I believe. I guess that's essentially the translation of the whole song. So it sounds very similar to like what you're saying with the daily bread, but that Catholic
Right,
prayer,
the reverence,
yeah,
the holiness.
reverence.
I don't doubt that. I'm not arguing. That's why I started off my sentence with nobody but the Jews have more right to, and they wouldn't be going there. Those are their people. They're
Right.
not going to be singing songs of joy, because most people
of course not.
celebrate.
Yep. Appreciate it, Dana. Thank you so much.
As you're going home to see your maker. But I mean, no, I'm not saying that or insinuating that. But the thing is, I think they want to keep peace because it's such a reverential. Remember what I said? It's the way that they died,
Right.
and they want to give. And I'm not. The utmost respect to, those that are dead.
I think it's
And
touchy,
that's
and
why.
I think that people if
I'm going to just tell you, my family members, I'm sorry to interrupt. I want you to know this. They said you could hear a pin drop. They said it was eerie. It was horrible. People who were nothing of Jewish descent or Eastern European or Middle Eastern, they were crying openly.
Let me ask you
men
one
and
question,
women.
Dana, and then we've got to go. But the one question that I want to ask you is, do you think that these guards then felt like that's what they were enforcing, is that they felt that they were helping to enforce a sense of reverence and a sense of sort of austerity at these camps? Do you feel like the guards felt justified in keeping the silence?
I don't know if they felt justified. I can't say what their intent was, but that might have been what they were instructed to do based on what my brother and sister-in-law's experience was. But why didn't they just say that to them?
Yeah.
What was the need for threat of jail?
Right, absolutely.
or
Threats
for
and fines and all that. It's ridiculous. But
Exactly.
thank you so much for your call tonight,
Exactly.
Dana,
You're
and
welcome.
have a wonderful evening.
And I'm
Sorry.
the really that's all the government has is fines and jail. I mean, what else are they going to threaten them with? That's what governments have: fines and jails. And you don't pay the fine, you go to jail.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.